Life Club with Tashima Jones, the podcast, brought to you by Tashima Jones Media. Keep in mind that this content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Welcome to another episode of Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Today, we will be speaking about toxic traits and relationship building. The word toxic is tossed around quite a bit in connection to other people. But have you ever considered the toxic connections you may have when it comes to thinking patterns and behaviors? The reality of the matter is that relationships are just a reflection of what's happening within the people in the relationship. Let's dive into how to release those toxic traits in order to establish thriving connections with others. As always, when we know the definition of a thing, we are better equipped to using it properly. Up first, you may have guessed, we have toxic. Toxic pertains to poisons or being poisonous. Next, we have relationship, which is a popular Life Club word, and it points to two or more things or people connecting with one another and with the goal of going in the same direction or arriving at a similar destination. And last but not least, we have agreement. Agreement relates to mutual understanding and conformity. Again, toxicity is a major buzzword, and oftentimes many people overlook their own toxicity. It comes with a lot of blaming and not enough introspection. To be clear, this is not to bash yourself or anyone else for that matter. It is actually more about understanding what toxic traits are and becoming more aware of how they show up within for the goal of releasing them for a better relationship with others and essentially with yourself. When you are free of toxicity, the relationships tend to follow. Toxic traits are habits that tend to destroy what one is aiming to build. The root cause of those toxic traits are usually found in toxic patterns of thinking. The reason many are unable to see these traits is because they think they are normal. Some are so familiar with toxic traits that they go to the level of defending these traits, calling them parts of their personality. If you are led to believe that habits are just part of your nature, you are less likely to see the need to change them. When you are able to identify and assess the toxicity you bring into relationships, you are on your way to establishing healthier encounters. Some toxic traits look like constantly choosing and doing the same things that created chaos in the past. It includes not self-reflecting and not being clear on who you are as a person. And this takes time. Some toxic traits show up as a person looking for others to make them happy and rejecting good when it shows up in their lives. Now, signs of toxic relationships include confusion and no direction. If you are not sure of the foundation upon which your relationship rests, chances are it's toxic. Not all unhealthy relationships appear to be toxic. For example, they may not come with intense arguing. Confusion is a subtle dysfunction that far too many people accept, especially early on. If you do not know the destination of your relationship, seek clarity. And if that clarity includes a place you don't see yourself fitting in, you may need to reconsider the relationship dynamic. Another sign of toxicity in connection is having two different visions, also known as division, or separate life paths. Outside of confusion and no direction, the parties involved may very well be clear on an individual level, but as a unit, they may drastically differ. When this is the issue, the relationship may just need an adjustment in the nature of the connection. You may not be able to establish a marital relationship, but you might just do well being very good friends. Too often, people try to force relationships to be what they are not, and then they find themselves off track and unfulfilled in the long run. You don't have to marry every good person. You don't even have to be friends with every good person. Remember our definition of relationship. It's a connection made between two or more people or things steering in the same or similar directions on the same ship. This leads to agreement. Agreement is vital. When one agrees to something, they are essentially pledging their allegiance to it. The power of agreement strengthens with action. There are plenty of people agreeing to one type of relationship with their words and not with their actions, and this is toxic. It contributes to the breakdown of what is hoped for. Whether platonic or much more intimate, relationships are kept together by agreement. But once again, many are agreeing with words and not with their hearts. On the other note, they are agreeing to terms and conditions that are unspoken or confusing, or at times so far away from what they actually desire. The remedy to this is being clear on the vision and the actual goal as an individual, and then being mindful and intentional about those you are establishing relationship with. With all that being said, here is your life work. Based on this session, set aside at least 10 minutes to consider the following. Complete this sentence. If I am being honest, I practice the toxic trait of fill in the blank. Remember, toxicity is poisonous in nature. In other words, it is a habit or thinking pattern that goes against what one is seeking to build. Now, consider how this toxic trait tends to show up in relationships. How does it disrupt the building of healthy connections? Think about at least one relationship. What are some toxic traits that tend to sabotage what you hope can be built? Is it the habit of saying one thing yet doing another? How often do you do and say things that take away from what you genuinely desire? Remember the power of agreement and the importance of clarity. And remember to journal your experience. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and for that, I am truly grateful. Be sure to share and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you are tuning in from, and find me on YouTube at Tashima Jones Media for our 1-minute meditations and other video content. You're also invited to visit tashimajones.com for life coaching sessions, books, articles, courses, and free downloads. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon.